Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Silver Tears Tarot. And welcome to our moon reading. This is going to be our full moon reading. I can't believe we're already back around again. It really feels to me, even though so much has happened in the last couple of weeks, that we were just talking about the new moon. So here we are. We've got a full moon in Sagittarius. As I mentioned today or yesterday I think I talked about it at the end of our extended reading when I talked about doing this one today. This is a moon that it allows you to feel things a little bit more fully. I think it allows for a fuller experience if you are open to it, I think is what I said. So we're going to go ahead and get in. It'll be a personal, or I'm sorry, it will not be personal. It will be a general reading for our collective. So it's not going to resonate with everybody, and of course, it shouldn't. If it does resonate with you, however, then you may want to consider looking at some of the other readings that have come out for this collective, and you may even want to subscribe. So we're going to go ahead and jump in. We'll start with just kind of that energetic backdrop. I often like to get that just to understand. This gives us an idea of the energy that we're all kind of floating around in today, and then lets you know here's the context in which you're going to want to take the rest of the messages that come out. So this is that energetic backdrop around this full moon. So it's not just today, it's the energy around the full moon, which we will have already seen kind of ramping up, and we're going to see it for a little while. So we've got the Six of Wands in reverse. This is a lot of activity going on. So when we have the Six of Wands in the upright, we have it as victory after a long battle, often is how it comes across. It's victorious. It's winning something that is a significant win because it's worth it. It's worth it. Here, though, we see that not so much, it's not a loss. It is not done yet. Like, there is still a lot going on in the energy right now. Just around you, a lot of unsettled, unfinished business. Now, we do see during the month of June, you've got a cycle that's wrapping up, but here it's kind of those loose ends. It's got the feelings of those loose ends that haven't quite wrapped up just yet. We've got a Seven of Cups and a Ten of Cups. Ten of Cups has come out here in reverse. The Ten of Cups is a reminder to slow down, believe it or not. So the Ten of Cups is about something that can be a little dreamy, can be a little too good to be true, and it definitely has that feeling of something being a little too good to be true, but almost like there's too much noise in the atmosphere to be able to make it out. And so it's a reminder to just kind of calm down. One of the lessons that this collective has been focused on is what exactly you do when you are faced with something that looks like it's too good to be true. And then, it's appropriate that this Seven of Cups came out at the same time, because this has been about here your options are, and here's how you look at those. A lot of times it's very confusing to figure out how to look at those, and just watching the interaction between the options, sometimes that can make things more challenging as well. So there are a lot of energies of confusion here, but they're wrapped around things that you would like to be able to slow down and shed a little bit more light on. However, with the energy of the Six of Wands in reverse and all that activity there's a lot going on. I mean, it's not necessarily bad things going on, but it's just a lot of it. So it may be tough, even with that energy that you guys are in. I can feel it already, because I can kind of, when I dip into your energy and the energy of the collective, I'm able to get an overall feeling. Now, at this point, there are enough of you here that it's not a simple thing trying to just discern the mood that everybody's in, but it also, there is a vibe to it. And you guys are, this is like a weird word to describe it, but there's a very sure-footed vibe to it. Even with the confusion, even with a little frustration in this sense of things being kind of up in the air, like, you've got this. There's a good feeling around that. You've got the Knight of Pentacles. That's it. That's slow and steady. You're still just kind of moving through, even though there is a lot going on here. That doesn't necessarily stop you from being able to just continue putting one foot in front of the other. And there is that feeling that there's a lot of kind of confidence and positivity in that. So let's see, this Wheel of Fortune fell out, wanted to be seen, and so did this Page of Swords, and I think that's actually about it. So the Wheel of Fortune in reverse is talking about how In another one of the lessons that's come up for us a lot has been that lesson of learning to be comfortable in a situation that isn't necessarily very comfortable. So you've got that here, but you've also got it down and you're all warmed up and you're good at doing it. But there's a sense of kind of fear in here. I feel like this is associated with a specific situation. It's a lot of you are dealing with a soulmate situation. This is a general reading that's more general across your life. So even if you're feeling a little bit more resolved in the soulmate situation, you might still find that these readings with the that are a little bit more unbounded. So the moon readings, the monthly readings might still resonate just on other levels. Regardless, you're going to be feeling like even though there's a lot going on, you're not getting a lot of push from the universe that's helping to move things forward. And there may be a little bit of fear and like an uncertainty that pops in for you here. Watch for it. It's a perception. A lot of times when I get perceptions, they come through with Pentacles cards, which is kind of interesting because I always kind of picture that they would come through in Swords cards. And so here we have them coming through in that air energy. Definitely just a perception of not having it together in places that you actually are probably a little more together than you might realize. Okay, so we've got the King of Cups. We're going to address this one first, this stack first. So we've got the King of Cups that's come out in reverse. Watch out for energy that doesn't want to flow or that you feel like maybe you're not able to allow it to flow. This is something that it's not a bad thing, but it may be a little bit limiting for you. This also feels a little bit like making assumptions about situations, which can also be a little bit limiting for them. So it's just make sure that you're releasing your assumptions. And this reminds me, I need to do a video that talks about these mantras because a lot of my meditation mantras come up in the readings, and this one has to do with releasing attachments. That's one that we've seen very heavily here lately. This is this King of Cups here is not so much telling you to release attachments as to become aware of them. So it's helping you to become aware of them. It's that type of energy. We have a Five of Cups here. Which that comes out with, it's just these. We have the Five of Cups that's come out here with the Judgment card. Yeah, I saw the Seven of Wands coming out earlier and on the fence about whether it was actually going to end up in this reading or not. Now it's here. So we've got the Judgment and the Five of Cups and the Seven of Wands in reverse. The Five of Cups is the first one that came out, and it's telling us that there is, along with this Page of Swords in reverse that we have over here, that I'm saying, that's a perception. We've also got this Five of Cups over here, which is talking a little bit more about the nature of that perception. This is not looking on the bright side. This is the opposite of looking on the bright side. So rather than having a balanced view where you're able to take the positive and the negative together, which is kind of what I feel about this card sitting in reverse, this is more of a heavier focus on that negative, the things that haven't gone well, rather than also taking into account the positivity. So watch for that. Watch for that to be associated with this perception of fear that comes out. Watch also for it to be associated with the tendency to be attached. This Judgment card talks about your ability to look at the big picture. There is a lot of opening yourself up to the sense of adventure as well as the reality of what you might find in this moon. So I mentioned that it allows for a fuller experience if you're open to it. This is the concept of you being open to it. That energy that is in the backdrop is, yes, you're open to it, but you've got to be, this is a sense of feeling vulnerable and recognition that you have protection and the high ground, but still doing it anyway. So this is very heavily leveraged in the fear. It's like you need to make a nuanced change to this Five of Cups so that you're seeing the big picture, and all of a sudden this Seven of Wands just pops into the upright and you feel a lot more confident about things. And so it's not a big change that needs to happen. This Judgment card, this act of internal reconciliation that comes in with this moon, it's an opportunity for that with this moon. It doesn't just happen. But if you do go down that road, then there's a lot of possibility here for you to turn things around. These are some of the tweaks that you would want to make. Be aware of your tendency to limit yourself. And just to kind of limit the situation with assumptions. It's not a negative intention. It's a fear that manifests in a way that you might not always be looking for it. So that's part of the reason that you have advice about how to look for it. Okay, so we're done with that. Now we're going to look into the actual full moon, see what you need to know about this energy, because we got a little bit of information about it. It does have a sense of I'm ready to move forward, kind of bust out and do something new. We've been seeing that in readings anyway, so this energy's already kind of been coming out. And here we have, again, the Fool. There is this, and the Lover's card is an honorable mention. It has popped out a couple of times without actually wanting to be in the reading. It is not always a card of like a romantic relationship. Sometimes the Lover's card is a choice in love. Sometimes it's a choice around a soulmate, and that relationship with that soulmate is not always a romantic one. This could be somebody who is just friends, but there is a heavy other energy hanging around you right now that is going to impact you in some ways. You still have that sense of adventure, like I was just talking about when this card popped out, when the Fool popped out. There's a lot there, but it's also, you need to, like I was saying, be open to what comes. There's a lot of rawness in the energy, but also a lot of potential for new information to come your way that's going to help you in your own growth. We've got the Page of Cups. There's a feeling of not, it's solitude within the lessons. So not necessarily solitude, not that you wouldn't be around your family or your friends or other people that you tend to be around, but there's a solitude in the lessons portion of it. Your meditations may start to become a little bit deeper. In fact, in yesterday's reading, you were invited to make those meditations a little bit deeper. And I realized again that I needed to make a video about my own meditations, which I'm going to do. I don't know that it's going to be tomorrow. I think we need to do a reading tomorrow that is a soulmate reading around the number of you who have contacted me and said that you're at the end of your ropes and you're thinking about walking away, and what does that look like. We've done a reading like that before, but we need to do it again. Clearly it's coming up a lot in the emotions and the energy right now, so I want to do that. And then I think I'll do one, at least some kind of bonus video about my mantras and just let you know what they are, because I talk about them, and by now you've probably heard them all if you've been on this channel. But we're just going to sum them all up and put them together. So you've got the Five of Pentacles that's coming out here. It's meaningful. It's a sad card. It's a card of feeling left out in the cold, but it's a card of something you can actually solve. So even though it's got that sadness to it and that feeling of, we talk about the big three in the soulmate readings, the sense of abandonment, the feelings of betrayal, the fear of rejection. Here, though, I feel more, it feels more heavily leveraged in that rejection. I feel like that's part of the reason that you're keeping things quiet, but not necessarily the whole reason. And you should be keeping things to yourself to a certain degree, because that's the darkness in which of your mind is where these things need to percolate and come out. That's the only way you're going to be able to open this door, and you are the only one who's going to be able to open this door. And like I said, I feel like this one's more around rejection. I also feel like, similar to this, it is a small adjustment. It is a nuanced change, not a huge shift that needs to be made. Okay, we have an Eight of Pentacles. So this self-doubt keeps popping out. We've got self-doubt. I haven't looked where I need to go yet. I'm afraid to take a step without having a better feel for it. I'm afraid to lose everything. This is interesting. That's not even what always comes off of that card. And there's there's a definite sense of being afraid to upset something, afraid to lose things with this Ten of Pentacles and this Four of Wands. Ten of Pentacles is in the reverse. Four of Wands is in the upright. Five of Pentacles over here is in the upright, and that talks about a shift. That talks about a change. Again, not a huge change. It's more of a nuanced change that you need to make that's going to open some doors for you. However, the shift that happens when you open this door to yourself, you don't have to do a ton to make it happen, but when it does happen, it throws a lot of other things into motion, which coincidentally, and you know this on some level, thrusts a lot of the responsibility and the next move back onto you. That's where this Eight of Pentacles fear comes from. I'm not sure if I'm ready for this. I'm not sure that I have figured out everything and, have that emotional self-mastery to be able to move forward. The Eight of Cups here in the reverse suggests, wait, have I truly identified what success looks like? Do I really know what my wish fulfillment, my Nine of Cups looks like? It's another lesson that's been coming out constantly for us here in this collective. Do you really know what you want? And here with the Ten of Pentacles, it's a matter of there's a fear of losing something. There's a change that creates a shift in your physical world, and there's fear around that because there's a stability in the known. So this is a fear of change, like in a very broad sense. Okay, this is again what you have to face as you're facing the energy of this moon, because it allows for a fuller experience, but only if you're open to it. If you're not open to it, if you're not able to open yourself up to it, then it's really just a fear fest. Nobody likes that. So you've got the Lovers coming out for you here. And so it's like it's tried to peek out once out of this deck over here before, but it wasn't the right time. It came out as an honorable mention in the main deck. And so here it's coming out again. I do get the sense that there is a soulmate interaction here that is creating a sense of opportunity for you, but it's more a choice. It's something that you have to figure out. You've done something, you've changed, you've learned something, and now you have this balance. You have more talk of balance here coming out with this card. You have a choice to make, and it is something that you've got to see if you're healed enough to move forward. And with the energy of this moon, like I said, it's super raw. You're going to find out exactly what you're made of. But I think there's a happy ending here. There's a feeling that with this devil energy in reverse, it's a feeling of you having regained control of yourself in some area and on some level. And it could be something very small, could be associated with this smallish nuanced change that needs to happen over here. Something is already in motion. I don't see a Three of Wands over here, but boy, do I feel it. I feel like the motion is already kind of happening, and it's you creating it. We certainly see that in this energy of this moon. The moon is kind of holding you in the glow of it and showing you what it needs to show you. Any impetus for movement is coming from you, but it is coming from you. And there is a confidence down deep. With the Nine of Pentacles, this is a more of a knowledge than something that would be termed a simple confidence, but it's a feeling that you're going to be able to shine with this pressure and be able to make things right. Lots of potential energy coursing through you. We've seen this with the Eight of Wands. It's like this is go time. This is when it really needs to come out, but it's going to thrust you in such a positive direction. There's a lot of potential here. You still have to actually activate it and do the things, but it's all here for you in this moon. There's a lot of, like I was talking about, that sense of adventure in this moon, and that is absolutely true. But there's a motion, action, activity. This is not small, but I think you're going to be up to it. And we've seen that in the June energy anyway. What's coming your direction, that you're going to be ready for it anyway. So let's take a look at where you need to focus. As always, we want to get the idea of where you need to focus given what we've seen in the rest of this reading. Where you need to focus today, what's happening with you. The Three of Swords in the reverse. This is looking toward the sun in a place where there may be that tendency to do with this energy, that Five of Cups in the upright, the heavily leveraged in the negative, not necessarily looking on the bright side, actively not looking on the bright side. There is an opportunity here for you to become aware of that, and it doesn't necessarily change where things feel sad or where you feel like there's a loss, but you do make a little bit of progress. The thing is, though, you have to allow that truth to come through. Now, you've had some cards coming through here with you in the recent past. Yesterday, we were doing a soulmate message about, or a soulmate series reading about how much your person actually senses how you feel. And in some cases, it's clear that empathy plays a huge role there. But when we looked at the focus for you, that the opportunity around the truth started to pop out, and it was just like a breath of fresh air. Not jumping into cold water, but a fresh air. It was, it's a very clean, revitalizing energy. you do have the opportunity to move forward nicely with the energy of this moon, to have some truths truly come out for you and to show for you. But you also have the opportunity to make your own choices, and there will be choices to be made. You're recommended to get in with that prayer, and we saw this in yesterday's reading too. Even though that was a soulmate reading, there was a lot of good information that came out that would have been relevant for anyone in this collective, even if, again, you're feeling a little bit more accomplished in the area of the soulmate situation. So with the High Priestess, though, in reverse, it's reminding you to really get in close. You've got an opportunity to get good messages from your higher self and from your higher power at this time. You just have to kind of slow down and allow yourself to jump in and get those messages. Allow yourself to do the prayer or the meditation that helps you to get there. Then we have the Star card. This is that feeling, even though and we saw this in yesterday's reading, but it comes out, I think it was some of the energy that's starting to bleed out bleed to both sides of this moon. There was this feeling of kind of this existential concerns around the passage of time. The Star card here is your innate feeling that everything is going to be okay. There's a lot of that with you in here. It's like a Queen of Pentacles kind of feeling. I'm seeing the self-doubt with you, but I'm also seeing that, the Nine of Pentacles come through, where you're recognizing in yourself that you've got this. Now, the moon, that's some of the mystery that you're learning to operate in. And we're looking at a full moon here, but even with that, you can still have clouds that run in front of it that make it a little bit more difficult to pick up some of the messages and to see things. And even when the clouds part, some of what you're able to see with that moonlight, it's not necessarily enough information for you to be able to see everything. But it's enough for you to get started, and it's definitely enough for you to pull up the corner on what you need for this time in order for you to kind of move yourself a big step forward in your healing. Recognizing some very difficult and raw things about a situation where you were not treated well. For some of you, this will be a soulmate. For others of you, it isn't necessarily, or it expands beyond that. It's more places. Maybe you have been treated poorly in a few places. It could be a pattern that you're seeing throughout your life that you won't be able to unsee after the energy of this moon. And so then it's a matter of, well, what do you do about it? There's a feeling that you're wanting to hold on. I feel like it's that same 4 stability energy of wanting to hold on to this stability over here that you're afraid is going to change if you make this change that frankly is already in motion, and we still don't see a 3 of Wands. But there's still that feeling there of things really moving. There's this fear. There's this fear that's popped up a couple times around this 9 of Cups, not being sure of truly having what you want or having found what you want. It's like with this 8 of Cups, wait, I'm not ready. I haven't figured it out. I don't yet know what I want. This is telling you to go ahead and get on that. Go ahead and get on figuring out what it is that you want and putting a little bit more gas into it. The 10 of Wands is a reminder that we keep seeing here recently to set down the responsibility for the things that we don't control. And then you've got an honorable mention of the 4 of Swords here talking about the healing that's going to be needed in order to move past this situation. Because even though it's this great truth that's coming out, it also has a little bit of an element of it takes a little bit of getting used to this truth. One of the issues that we've seen with that 8 of Swords, and we've seen a lot of it, it's that sometimes it's tough to understand what's happening in the truth and get it to be assimilated into that worldview. Whether it's you, whether it's someone that you're dealing with. There's a severe and strong lack of balance that has to do with a partnership right now. Okay, so this is something that you are invited to take a closer look at because there's more to it. And we've got a 6 of Wands here that kind of brings us full circle and reminds us, like with this 6 of Wands, that you're very much still in the thick of something. But this piece with the partner here, and again, this could be a soulmate person that you're dealing with. I think it has a soulmate element to it. It's somebody that's very important to you. It may not be somebody that has a romantic element to them. We've seen that, with the Lovers card over here. You are going through it with somebody over here on some level. And so there is some degree of needing to focus on that and actually looking at it, looking straight at it, that may be a little bit uncomfortable, but is really, truly what needs to happen. And so, again, I am reminded that this is a fuller experience that this Sagittarius full moon allows you, but you've got to open yourself up to it. It may not be very comfortable. Let's see what comes out here. It may not be very comfortable, but it also feels like it is something that you're ready for. I keep seeing this in your June readings, in just the month of June readings. Hey, there's a lot of energy coming. There's a lot of change coming, but you're prepared for it based on everything you've done so far. Curious to see what kind of advice or what pulling it all together comes out with this oracle card. This full moon in Leo. Don't let pride get in your way. I am loving this message because with this, I feel a bit of an uptick in that self-trust, in that capacity for moving things forward, in that Wands energy, and that fire energy that would be represented here with Leo, and also fire through Sagittarius. But letting pride get in your way, that is an egoistic issue that would potentially slow things down and maybe remove a little bit of this window. It's part of the assumptions that you could be making over here that come out with the King of Cups in reverse. So there's a lot of potential with this moon, with this full moon in Sagittarius. There's a lot of being able to reach out and take a big step, a big chunk out of your healing, and being able to say, I've got my eyes wide open. And then this energy saying, okay, I'm going to show you, but it's still not going to be super clear. You're still going to be exercising that ability to make decisions with less information, but you're going to have certain things like the equal give and take of energy you're not going to be able to unsee going forward. So this situation that's happening with this partner, all of a sudden it becomes more important. And with this Lovers, it becomes more important to think about how that might be resolved, because it might be that resolution is truly the lesson there. But there's a truth in here that you need to look at. You got to open yourself up to that. Once again, it's all about opening yourself up. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up for today. We're not going to do an extended on this one. I will get in and do another soulmate reading again tomorrow, and we're going to do the question around, if I'm feeling like it's time for me to draw the line and walk away, what does that look like? How do I, what do I need to know, and how do I make that happen? So thanks so much for being here with me today, and I will look forward to seeing you in tomorrow's reading.